if we've got all of this and we've done the FDIC, like I wrote up some questions. So how much can the Bank of Kale lend right now?
2,000.
2,000. They could potentially lend 2,000 because that is how much they have as excess reserves, and banks can lend their excess reserves. If Johnny Cash deposits $100, what is the maximum change in the money, in the demand deposits?
1,000.
It's going to be 1,000. Very good. But how do we find that? Well, we're going to take the 100 that he deposits and we're going to take out 10%, right? Because then they could initially lend $90, right? $90, and then we're going to go back to that multiplier, right? And the multiplier is 10, so we add a 0. That's how much new money could be created and would be in the banking system. It would be in demand deposits because of Johnny Cash's deposit. However, he got that $100 from cash, right? Because it says cash right there, right? And so that $100 was also not in the demand deposits, and it is now, so we have to add that in, making it 1,000, right? And the next question, what's the change to the money supply? The College Board almost always puts this one second, right? And it is just the $900 new. So remember, this is our Admiral Akbar situation. It's a trap, right? We're doing this on May 4th, right? So may the 4th be with you, right? But this is the trap. They ask for the demand deposits. Remember, like look, because it almost certainly was cash from somebody's pocket for under their mattress, come from a yard sale, going into the demand deposits. So you add it in on the demand deposits, but then the change in the money supply, that's just the new money that could be created. Always pay attention when somebody's depositing money or when somebody's withdrawing money, because that will change the demand deposits. And if the demand deposits change, then the required reserves will also change, because this required reserve number is a percentage of the demand deposits. So if you always want to find your initial at the beginning, but then you have to watch and see, because if that changes, the percentage will stay the same, and so the actual dollar amount of the required reserves will change. C, okay. It says, what is the maximum possible change to the money supply if the Fed buys $2,000 worth of bonds instead of Johnny Cash depositing the money? So what would be the change to demand deposits if the Fed buys bonds? 0, right? If the Fed buys bonds, what's going to happen is we strike that out and the 2K becomes 4K. But we're only dealing with the 2K because just as a result of the Fed buying the bonds, right? So we have 2,000. What's the multiplier? 10. So what would be the maximum possible change? 20,000. Right? Would be the maximum possible change to the money supply if the Fed buys the bonds. If the Fed buys bonds, what happens to demand deposits? No change. There's no change. There's nothing. Right? And what is a possible reason why we don't achieve this maximum potential change of 20,000? People don't redeposit the money. People just hold some of that money in their pocket. That's one possible answer.
Bank doesn't want it all out.
Bank holds some as excess reserves, right? Because this 20,000 is the maximum possible if nobody holds any cash in their pocket, right? Everybody redeposits all of the money, and the bank lends all of it back out. We have a maximum possible change. So if we shift either one of those, then it becomes smaller.